Alright, Horror Hounds, welcome to another episode of This Just In. Today we're going to be talking about the action horror-ish comedy about Christmas. Violent Night just came out in theaters this past Friday. And I went and seen it with my wife, my son, and let you know what we thought was good, what we thought was bad, if anything was good, if anything was bad. I'll give you an overall rating at the end. Alright, so it's a new movie, and obviously it deals with Santa Claus, and Santa Claus is a badass killer in this movie. Santa Claus is played by, don't look at this, don't get it wrong, there's a David Harbour. I know he's big in Stranger Things, but I have yet to watch the show. Don't know why, I just never gave it a shot when it first came out, and now I'm to the point where it's pretty much ended or ending, and I haven't really got into it. But I might just do one big swoop here at the end to catch up and watch how it finishes it up. But I think as an end for me, him as Santa Claus. He did a great job in the part. He plays the badass part really well. He plays believable down on his luck, alcoholic Santa Claus. And he kind of also does that awesome, fun, heartwarming part of the Christmas side of things as well in this movie. Another in for me was the bad guy, the foe, John Leguizamo. Been watching him in movies since I was a little kid. He's been around for a long time, but I thought he did a fantastic job in this movie. Another in for me was the fights. Up close fights, the one-on-one fights were very, very good. I want to try to stay out of spoiler territory, so I don't ruin anything in case somebody else wants to go see this movie, but I'll say that there's one-on-one fights like you would expect, and then there is going to be more of a Santa versus more than one individual. And I felt like the one-on-one fights were good. They were choreographed very well, it all looked good, and they had some neat ideas for kills, and they lean on Christmas and stuff like that. This also had a fun part in the movie where they kind of play an homage to Home Alone. And that's, if you walk into the movie, that's not really spoiling anything to you, because in the first 5 minutes, they quote Home Alone with that filthy animal line. So, and that's not the only homage in this movie. This movie plays homage to a lot of Christmas movies, and even has kind of like a Die Hard-ish feel to it, in a sense. At least when I watched it, Die Hard is my favorite action movie of all time, and it's my favorite Christmas movie of all time. So, I could feel kind of some Die Hard in there. For me, I guess the mixed element would be the rest of the supporting cast. Some of the other bad guys are just blah and bland. Some of them are entertaining. There is one guy who's dressed up like an elf who I recognized from Freddy vs. Jason. So that was kind of neat because I don't think I've seen him in anything else since then. He probably does stuff, I just don't realize it. But I was like, I recognize him from somewhere. And then at the very end of the movie, I was like, oh, that's what he's from. And like the little girl who's talking to Santa and stuff like that she does a decent job for her part. I would say she looks like she's about 13 and she's playing like a 9-year-old, so that part's a little unbelievable. But for some of the dialogue in the movie, I understand why they might not have went with a 9-year-old. And the rest, some of the, like I said, I'm mixed on the family and the rest of the bad guys. Some of the family is just atrocious. The main girl that we're rooting for in this, her parents are split up, and her dad in this situation, I find him to be just extremely annoying for the most part. He kind of ducks and hides. He's not very manly to stand up and, step up and do stuff. He's kind of like that coward. And I just found him to be kind of just annoying. And then we have some of the other very common tropey characters that you would have in an action, comedy, horror-ish type movie. And another thing to get into the things that I was out on, there's probably only one thing in the whole movie that I was out on, and that was when you get into the fights where they have a lot of people, more than one foe, they do it in a scene and the lighting is atrocious. Like, I'm no lighting expert per se, but for a movie that's called Violent Night, I'm expecting lots of violence. And I can tell that there's lots of violence going on in this scene, but I'm having a hard time seeing the violence. And it's a little frustrating because I'm assuming you put your effort and time into the choreographing and whatever you did for special effects, or even some of the CGI effects that you're doing in this, to pull the whole thing together. And had the lighting been just a little bit better, you would have seen so much more. And I thought that would have been better for that. So I was out on the scene with lots of people in it, because it's probably cool what it's going on, but it doesn't, you don't get the full effect from it. And then another thing I would say I was out on was a lot of movies. They like to play that troll trope thingy of the adults don't believe in Santa, but the kids do. And this movie, I won't tell you what happens, but it definitely goes overboard, if you ask me. Now, granted, I am a parent, so I might have a different look at this than some people do. But for me, I was like, just sitting there thinking in my head, wow, you're really fucking pounding the nail on the head for that one. You're going a little bit too far, in my eyes. And it's too far in a sense of what they're saying, but also it's not really needed for the story. And that's those are about all my things I'm in on or out on. I did feel like the movie ran a little long. I think it's like 2 hours. I think they could have shaved off like 10-15 minutes. Some of the more creative kills that we see in it are pretty cool. They do a good job with that. You do get a tiny hint-ish of a backstory about Santa, and then we kind of get spoon-fed a little bit of it. The little bit of backstory is kind of neat. But overall, I would say this was a very good, fun movie. My son asked me afterwards, was it better than Die Hard? In which I told him, no, nothing ever will be. Nostalgia is a strong thing, and you're not going to find a movie better than Die Hard. For me, I would be surprised. I watch it literally every single year for Christmas. So, I will say it is not as good as Die Hard if you like Die Hard, but as a fun, campy, lots of like holiday humor. There's some blood and gore in it, but not too much. Action, comedy. It's a good movie. It's going to be one that when it comes out on DVD, it will be being bought, put on the shelf so that we can rewatch it again next year when Christmas season comes around. Alright guys, that's my thoughts on Violent Night. If you want, you can leave comments down below if you've happened to see it. Tell me what your thoughts are on it. Don't forget to give me a like, subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the notification bell so you can see when the next video comes out. Until the next one, guys, rest in peace.